What's up, guys? Um, Coming to you live from the new house, making the last fantasy football video of the year. Awesome for me, championship this year. I'm not gonna talk all that shit like some people would, but very cool. So I beat Mike in the final matchup of the 2011 season, 126 to 75. Kind of completing the underdog story. Looking at the scoreboard, I got huge games from a lot of people. I had 4 guys go for 20 or more. Could have had 5 if I started the Seahawks defense, but I am not going to bitch at all. Tom Brady with 26, LaShawn McCoy with 26. He had 3 scores. He's been nasty for me all season. I think that solidifies him as the #1 running back all year, which guys I actually am going to go through and list like the top 5 players at each position. I think that'll be kind of cool, see how they stacked up in points and all that. But I had Ryan Matthews go for 22 and Roddy White, didn't really show up all year and then had a huge game. He had 25. Looking at Mike, he only had 4 guys go for double digits. Everybody else, his big guys like Gronkowski and Cruz and some of the other guys didn't really show up for him. Steven Jackson and Marshawn Lynch had a combined 30, with Maurice Jones-Drew and Miles Austin getting a combined 22. They each had 11 apiece. Mike could have made maybe a couple of other starts, but it wouldn't have still been close. He could have started, Lance Moore or something like that, who had 21 on his bench. Like I said, I had Seahawks defense on my bench go for 29. So, looking at this, just very cool. I think this makes like 8 wins in a row for me. After I started the season so bad, I think with like 2-5 or something, completing the comeback all the way to the championship. So proving the doubters wrong. So I'll be taking home the $250 league prize. Mike will be settling for the $175 second place prize. I'll also be getting that trophy. So Nico, please bring that home for the Christmas holiday. I can get it engraved, or if you were talking about the guy that does it for free, that'd be totally sweet. Looking at the 3rd place matchup, wasn't really close in this one either. Brock getting the 3rd place prize money of $75 with a huge win, 129 to 84. Brock got huge scoring from Matt Stafford, who had 29. Calvin Johnson had 33. Falcons defense had 22, and he got 10 from Chris Johnson and 14 from Cedric Benson. So big scoring for him. Tony Romo on his bench with 25, Nate Washington with 12. Looking at Eric, 18 from Carson Palmer, 19 from Arian Foster. The big one for him was Ravens defense. They got -4. I mean, they got torched up by San Diego, and his defense played well all year. That drops him to the #2 defense. But looking at this, and there's no one Eric could have started. I mean, he just got beat in this one. Having to start Earl Bennett, Jimmy Graham at 11. He's been solid all year. I think he's the #2 tight end now, behind Gronkowski. Yeah, so good matchup for him. But Brock just too much firepower. So looking at the other scores. The Regulators beat Autobot Revolution 99 to 64. Bolingbrook Blue Ballers beat Gearhart's Gangbang 98 to 85. And Kiss My Ash beat Titletown USA 86 to 48. So guys, it's been a fun season. Can't wait to get that trophy in my hands, hold that all year. We'll definitely be bringing it back next year. So, hopefully everybody else is on board. Do want to go through kind of the top 5 players at each position, highest point scores for the year. Going through here, guys, maybe the top 10, 15 players or so for scoring wise. Looking at it, Aaron Rodgers led the league with 353 points. He was the #1 fantasy player this year. #2, Drew Brees with 323. Cam Newton, surprise. Cam Newton, last pick in the draft, pretty much last round. #3 overall player this year with 311 points. Finished as the 3rd best quarterback. Number 4 was Tom Brady at an even 300 points. Matt Stafford, number 5 at 269 points. LaShawn McCoy was the number 7 overall player with 266 points. Tony Romo, who was a bench quarterback in this league, had 250 points. Eli Manning, 7th overall quarterback, 236. And Ray Rice, 234. I'll break it down by position here in a little bit, but if you look at that, guys, I mean, out of the top 10, probably 7 of them are quarterbacks, 7 or 8 of them. So, that might affect your draft strategy next year. But looking at the top quarterbacks, pretty much in the order of what I talked about earlier was Rodgers, Breeze, Newton, Brady, and Stafford. Looking at running backs, the top 5 scores were LaShawn McCoy with 266, Ray Rice with 234, Arian Foster with 216, Maurice Jones-Drew with 215, and Marshawn Lynch with 177. Looking at receivers, guys, Calvin Johnson was the number 1 receiver with 208 points. Wes Welker was number 2 with 188. Steve Smith was 3rd with 161. Roddy White was number 4 with 154. And Jordy Nelson, surprise there, 5th overall receiver. There's actually a 3-way tie for the 5th overall receiver. And it's going to be between Jordy Nelson, Mike Wallace, and Victor Cruz. So 2 huge surprising names out of that group, all with 153 points. Going through tight end, I didn't think it was a question here. Rob Gronkowski, number 1 tight end all year, had 204 points. Jimmy Graham, 162. Tony Gonzalez finished with 119. Jason Witten was 109. Aaron Hernandez was 103. Going on to defense here, 49ers defense was led the league with 153 points. Ravens defense was number 2 with 150. Bears defense was 3rd with 147. Seahawks defense was 4th with 138, and the Texans defense was number 5 with 137. Top kickers for the year, David Akers, number 1 with 153. Dan Bailey, 2nd with 142. John Casey, 3rd with 131. Mason Crosby, 130, and Stephen Gostkowski, 127. So that's kind of how the league scoring shaped up, guys. Going through, you looking at teams. I had some of the best overall scoring. My tight end was a crapshoot, but I had actually all my players in the top 10 in scoring. Actually, top 15. Percy Harvin was the 13th overall receiver, Roddy White being the 4th overall, A.J. Green, 12th overall receiver. I had the 49ers D, who was number 1, Mason Crosby, number 4 overall kicker. Ryan Matthews finished as the 8th best running back. LaShawn McCoy was the number 1 overall running back, and Tom Brady was the 4th overall running back, or the 4th overall quarterback. I'm sorry. I'll go through some other teams here and looking at it. Let's see how much time I got. I'm talking. Plenty of time. So Matt Stafford for Brock was the 5th overall. Chris Johnson and Cedric Benson finished inside the top 20 at 17 and 19. Calvin Johnson was the number 1 overall receiver. Mike Wallace was number 5. Des Bryant was the 15th best receiver. Tony Gonzalez being the 3rd best tight end. Falcons defense was 14th. Jason Hansen was the 11th overall kicker. Note that Brock did have the Jets defense, who was the number 6 overall defense, and Tony Romo finishing at the number 6 overall quarterback. So he had 2 quarterbacks in the top 6 in terms of scoring. Going on to foster care. I'll try and touch on every team here. Foster care finishing Carson Palmer, the number 27th overall quarterback. Beanie Wells and Michael Bush tied for 11. Arian Foster was the number 3 overall running back. Antonio Brown was the 23rd overall receiver, which was a surprise there. And Earl Bennett, 99th overall. Jimmy Graham was the number 2 tight end. Ravens D, number 2. And David Akers, number 1. Greg Jennings being out, he was number 10 for receivers. Reggie Wayne didn't meet expectations. He was the 32nd overall receiver. And then Aaron Hernandez being the number 5 overall tight end. So he had 2 top 5 tight ends. And DeMarco Murray, for the short time that he played, was actually inside the top 25 for running backs. Looking at Gearhart's Gangbang here. He had Drew Brees was the number 2 quarterback. Darren Sproles, a surprise, finishing in the top 15 for running backs. Adrian Peterson, number 6. Mike Wallace, receiver, or Mike Williams, excuse me, was the 42nd overall receiver. Marcus Colston, 21, and Demaryius Thomas was 56. Steelers defense finished right at the 10. And then, everybody else kind of in their 40s. Neil Rackers finished with 9. Jake Ballard was the 14th overall tight end. So tough year for Nico scoring-wise, and pretty much for overall. Going to kiss my ass. Got Cam Newton leading her team, the number 3 overall quarterback. Ben Jarvis Green Ellis was 23 running back. Ray Rice was the number 2 running back. Pierre Thomas was 29. Steve Smith and Larry Fitzgerald finished in the top 8. Larry Fitzgerald at number 8 and Steve Smith at number 3. Jermichael Finley was the number 6 overall tight end. And then she had Packers defense was the number 11 overall defense, and Rob Baronis was the 13th overall kicker. Phillip Rivers and Peyton Hillis didn't live up to their expectations in terms of draft status. Peyton Hillis was the number 40th overall running back. I don't know if that Madden curse hit him, but it was a tough year for him. He really only had 1 or 2 big games where he had the game against Indy where he had 94 yards and 2 touchdowns, but that was really about it for him. And then Phillip Rivers finished number 9 overall quarterback. But, last year I think he was the number 2 or 3 overall quarterback. Going on to Autobot Revolution. He had Aaron Rodgers, the number 1 overall quarterback. Matt Forte was the number 1 overall running back for a little while there, but dropped to the top 10 even without playing the last few games. He was the number 10. Sean Green finished with the 18th best running back. Laurent Robinson, surprise there, 14th overall receiver. Brandon Lloyd finishing with 28. Kind of fell from his perch from last year, being the number 1 overall receiver. Had a string of nice games though. And Jason Avant, number 58. Vernon Davis, the number 9 overall tight end. Robbie Gould, the number 6 kicker, and Bears defense was the number 3 overall defense. Nobody really on his bench that's too noteworthy. Going through, I got the regulators. Had Michael Vick, number 13th overall quarterback. Frank Gore, number 16. C.J. Spiller had a really nice last few games, and he finished at the number 38 running back, I believe. Yes. Wes Welker was the number 2 overall receiver. Deshaun Jackson and Anquan Bolden were 32 and 30 respectively. Antonio Gates, number 7 overall tight end, which was kind of a big disappointment for Jobby. And then he also had Tim Tebow, kind of a notable name there. Had 14. He's the 14th overall quarterback. On to the Bolingbrook Blue Ballers. John had Matt Ryan, number 8 overall quarterback. Michael Turner, number 7 overall running back. Reggie Bush had a great year, finishes the 13th best running back in the league. Going through, Dwayne Bowe finished at the 21 best receiver. Stevie Johnson, the 19th best receiver. Jason Witten, 4th overall tight end. Bengals, the 9th defense. And Sebastian Janikowski was the number 7 overall kicker. Rashard Mendenhall and Ahmad Bradshaw didn't finish as their draft, what you'd expect them to. He had, Mendenhall finishing 20th, Bradshaw finishing 24th. He had John Casey, the number 3 overall kicker as well. Julio Jones, kind of a notable rookie there, was the 26th best receiver. Going on toward Titletown, USA. He had Eli Manning leading the way, quarterback, number 7 overall. Felix Jones, 44th best running back. The injury really hurt him all year. I think he would have finished a lot higher, maybe in the 20s. In terms of a running back, had he been healthy pretty much most of the year. LeGarrette Blount, 26th best running back. Hakeem Nicks, 11th overall receiver. Jordy Nelson and Vincent Jackson finishing at 5 and 9 in the rankings, respectively. Texans defense, number 5. Josh Brown, 31st best kicker. Better hit the waiver wire for that one. We had Owen Daniels, number 11 overall tight end as well. And then on to Team Badasses, the runner-up in the league. Highest scoring team as well. Going to him, he had Ben Roethlisberger pretty much almost all year, being the number 11 overall quarterback. Kind of a surprise. Everyone thought he was going to be kind of up there in that 6, 7, 8 range. So he dropped a few spots. Steven Jackson, number 14th overall running back. Marshawn Lynch and Maurice Jones-Drew were 4 and 5 in the order. Maurice Jones-Drew being at 4, Marshawn Lynch at 5. Miles Austin, without that injury, I think he would have been, up there in the 15 range for receivers, but he finished actually at 38. Victor Cruz, number 5 overall receiver. Rob Gronkowski had a monster year, best tight end in the league. Lions defense was number 8 overall defense, and Dan Bailey was the number 2 kicker. On his bench, he had Brandon Marshall, who's the 16th best receiver. Lance Moore was the number 25 overall receiver. Torrey Smith, 18th overall receiver. And then Darren McFadden, who, without those injuries, was on pace to have a great year. Was one of the best running backs at the time, and then he missed, 2, 4, 6, 8 weeks. So that's huge. I mean, that really hurt Mike. But, what can you do? Injuries happen. You look at a team like Aaron's team or Nico's team that, really got bit by the injury bug and kind of cost them a season. But anyway, just letting you guys know, that was about it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the league. Hopefully you had a good time. We'll be doing it again next year for sure. Next year in August, I will be hitting you up, seeing if you guys still want to do it. Do the traveling trophy once again. Maybe even bump it up to $50 a team, or I'm sorry, bump it up from 50 to 100, as well as same with the trans fees, but definitely doing a keeper league next year. Thinking about that if we can get all the same owners. So yeah, I mean, see what you think, guys. But this is it, last video of the year. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for being great owners. Had a lot of fun this year, and especially since I won the championship. So good for me. I'm enjoying the new place. Would give you guys a tour, but most of you have been here already. So regardless, guys, thank you. Had a good year. If you're interested, let me know. Make posts on the video on the league page. It's gonna probably become inactive here in a week or so. So check it out. And that's about it. But next year, looking forward to it. Hopefully we get the same guys. So if you guys want to be in, make sure you let me know, and we'll get the rules running. I'm definitely looking forward to running the league next year. So all right, guys, I've talked enough. It's been a 17, almost 18 minute long video. So all right, guys, thank you very much. All right, later, guys.